Hello, and thank you for watching this video. My name is Bill Gibbons, and this is a special plea to all MPs directly. I know it breaches parliamentary protocol, but I am desperate. No one is listening to me. I have Asperger's, which is a form of autism, severe anxiety and depression. I have been housebound due to anxiety, which no one seems to realise or no one seems to respect, since March 2020 due to bullying and intimidation from my neighbours. I have complained to Waltham Forest Council and they have done nothing. I have become of the opinion that maybe not the council as a body, but its officers are racist and discriminatory against people with mental health issues. They have shown no respect for my protected rights under the 2010 Equality Act. They have basically told me if I don't like it, instruct a solicitor, Mr. Gibbons. I have a recording of an officer of the council telling me that. No one seems interested. I have tried raising racism complaints against the council. None of them are investigated. And the police even wouldn't investigate. I had victim support trying to help me because I'm a victim of racial discrimination. And the police just wouldn't raise the investigation because they see it as, oh well, they're local council. They won't be racist. They're not supposed to be racist. I think it's about time that the part of the passport application that says you can get it signed by a civil or public servant because they're supposed to be honourable should be scrapped. There's no comeback for people that lie and cheat the system if they're a public servant. Apparently, in my experience, I have been the continued victim of racism and bullying for several years across a couple of councils now. I've got witnesses to prove it. I can even show you documentary evidence. But I can't get all the information because Waltham Forest Council have blacklisted me. They've assigned me unlawfully a single point of contact. They haven't done so under the unreasonable behaviour policy. And they won't tell me who assigned the Spock and why. And they haven't. I've just emailed them again this morning asking for this and how it does not interfere with my protected rights under the 2010 Equality Act. And I've also asked them, if I wasn't white, would you treat my claim of racism more seriously? They probably won't answer that. They never do. I've asked them a few times. I am suicidal. I have been since Thursday. I have no one in the Waltham Forest Council that I can actually trust anymore. So communication is zero with Waltham Forest Council from now on. Because as far as I can see, as an autistic man, they are all liars and cheats. And I can't trust anything from anyone. So someone out there needs to step in urgently and basically Waltham Forest Council, at least the housing section initially, needs to be investigated for misdemeanours, malpractice, racism and bullying. Not just for me, for everyone. It's difficult for me to put into words. But I am trying my best to make this short. And it's just, I've even appealed to the Chief Executive of Waltham Forest last March. I asked for a meeting. I wasn't expecting a meeting directly with him, but at least with a senior officer to discuss all these issues. I have been trapped in my flat now since March last year, I am unable to regularly get rubbish removed. I have to go onto the internet and basically beg people on Facebook, strangers, come round and help me remove the rubbish. Because the council has written to me to say that I can't store the rubbish inside my flat, that is a breach of tenancy, and I can't put it outside my front door, that also is a breach of tenancy. My council don't care that other people leave stuff outside their front doors and do nothing about it, which is where I believe the racism comes in, because I'm the only white British person in this block of 6 flats, and yet all the others are allowed to do what they want. But as soon as I put a little feather outside my doorstep, I get all my neighbours coming round, photographing and putting complaints in about me. And yet one of my neighbours has officially lied to the police. No one does anything. I'm not allowed to have security on my door. I had to take a camera down, which I put up due to anxiety, because people in my block will not close the communal doors. And I checked all this before I signed my tenancy 3 years ago with Waltham Forest Housing, and I said, is it secure? Is it safe? Are there any problems? No, there's no problems. Yes, well, there wouldn't be any problems because Waltham Forest Council have a policy that stops people on estates raising complaints about each other. You have to give the full address of the person you're complaining about. Well, if they're in a different block, you don't know what address is. So you can't raise any complaints from on any part of the estate unless you know their exact address. So therefore, it makes it look like all the estates have got no complaints against them. And I've complained to Waltham Forest Council about that, and they don't even respond to my question. They haven't really responded to any of my questions in 2 years. My housing officer keeps walking out of public meetings saying I'm being rude and aggressive. Hello, I've got autism. I will keep asking questions until you give me a right answer. Not just some response that's nothing to do with the question. You have to answer the question, or I will keep asking it. Ask anyone that deals with people with autism. They get frustrated very easily. So please, all the MPs in the country this is going to, one by one, please, I beg you, there needs to be a police investigation into racism in Waltham Forest. There needs to be an investigation into the structure and methodology of Waltham Forest. There needs to be an investigation into how Waltham Forest actually implement the 2010 Equality Act. How do they make sure that it's enforced without going to solicitors? Because people shouldn't have to, if there's a protected right under the 2010 Equality Act, instruct solicitors to get those rights. It should be by design. They're public servants. They should serve the public under the law of the land. They're not doing that. They're not even keeping up with fire regulations because they refuse to keep fire exits clear. And they've written now 3 or 4 times to people, at least, well, I've received 3 or 4 letters from Waltham Forest Council. They won't tell me what the distribution of that letter is, so I don't know if I'm the only one receiving it. And they've written 3 or 4 times about keeping the stairwells clear. You know, remember Grenfell? Remember? Same organisation. An arm's length body, you know? And they refuse to keep the stairwells clear, despite the fact they've constantly said they will remove any items in the stairwells. I've actually got them on a recording saying, well, if you want those items removed, Mr. Gibbons, we won't remove things like shoes and mats because they're personal. And yet they've written saying all personal items will be removed. Well, why put something down? This is my complaint with Waltham Forest. They put something down on paper to cover their backs, but they don't actually implement it. I want a full physical examination of Waltham Forest Council, not just a paper examination, because I'll guarantee on paper they're doing everything right, but it's what they do in practice. Example, just for run-of-the-mill stuff. The playground behind my block is being dug up this morning. I've had no notification, no letters about any works due to be started. I've tried contacting Waltham Forest Council. I've got through to a voice recording, and it's up to me. I've been chasing this bloke for 2 hours now. Keeps going through to voicemail. I've had people in councils block my phone number. I've had people in Waltham Forest Council, senior people in Waltham Forest Council, have blocked my email address. I've worked in IT. I know the Black Spider system, which most councils use, and I know what the response is, that Black Spider issues when you've been blocked. And I've received that from at least one director of Waltham Forest Council. They're public servants. They should not, especially without writing to you first, block public people. Please, all MPs, I beg you, please get involved. I have autism and anxiety. I have told my council for almost 3 years now I cannot accept private calls, and yet housing will constantly call on private numbers and then mark it up on the call record as I hung up on them. Not, oh, we've called on a private number and he did not answer. No, they've made it look as though I've hung up on them. This is what I mean. The paper record doesn't tally with what they've actually been doing. They are covering their backs. They need a formal investigation. Nothing short of a formal investigation will be sufficient. Please help me. I beg you. Please.